Do you remember getting a concert ticket made out of paper? Well, I sure do. And this one in particular was called Clash of the Titans in 1991, the summer of 1991 at Red Rocks Amphitheater, and I'll never forget it. It was Megadeth and Slayer together. This was before concert venues started giving digital downloads, which I do have another one of. I've seen Megadeth once since all of these other times here. But picture this. Holy Wars, the Punishment Due was born amid wild Megadeth drama. Dave Mustaine was clashing with Nick Menza over creative control, all while unleashing his iconic spider chord technique on his Jackson King V. So today, you and I are going to tackle the first 18 measures of this thrash metal beast. Before we get started though, a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Lakato, with the JW06 guitar wireless system. I seriously dig this, man. It's so easy to connect the charging box. You just plug your transmitter and your receiver. The 1/4-inch jack goes right in here and it charges off of that. And you can also connect this and charge your phone or your iPad at the same time. This acts as a power bank. And it gives you crystal clear sound, even on high gain amp tones like Megadeth. You're going to see that throughout the video. I'm going to be using this, and it gives you total freedom to roam while practicing or shredding. So with super low latency and a battery that keeps up with your jams, it's perfect for practicing or gigs. And the design of this transmitter works on all of my odd angled input jacks, even that Stratocaster on the wall over there, and also my Dean MAB1 that has an upside down jack. It fits on there too. So check the link in the description to grab yours and help keep these lessons coming. Alright, let's talk about why Holy Wars can feel like a total monster to tackle. These first 18 measures are loaded with lightning fast riffs, tricky palm muting, and Mustaine's in-your-face picking style, including his famous spider chord technique, which I'm going to show you shortly. Getting that speed and precision and thrash energy locked in is tough, and those quick transitions between sections can trip up even seasoned players. But don't sweat it, I'm going to break it all down for you step by step. So let's rip this song apart together. We're going to dive into the opening riffs, the chord progressions, and those killer techniques that make Holy Wars so epic, including a quick lesson on the spider chord. This technique created by Mustaine involves moving chord shapes across the fretboard using all 4 fingers in an every other finger pattern to create that aggressive, quick chord change sound. We'll also cover the galloping rhythms and precise picking techniques so you can build your skills and crush this track. Alright, we're going to be in standard tuning for this song, so get your guitar tuned up to E, A, D, G, B, E. Starting off at measure 1, I'm going to leave my guitar on a clean channel, and then I'll switch to distortion when it's time to rock out, just so you can hear me talking over this. We're going to start at the 5th fret of the A string, and we're going to work in 3-note groups. And so I'm going to go 5, 6, 7, and the picking pattern is going to be down, up, down. And then I'll go to the E string, and do the same thing there, 5, 6, 7. And then I'll reverse that, 7, 6, 5, still down, up, down. Then shift down 2 frets and also descend from the 5th fret, 4th fret to the 3rd fret. Then a final 16th note pair at the end. We're going to go from 3 to 5, down, up with the pick, and then to an E5 power chord, which puts my index finger on the A string at the 2nd fret, and we'll pick the 6th string and 5th string together. Now make note that when I put this on a distortion channel, I'm going to want to use palm muting, which means my palm's going to rest on the strings here, right where they come out of the saddle at the bridge. Alright, get your guitar set up and ready. It's time to play along with me. I'm going to take you through this riff 4 times through at 3 different speeds. We're going to start it off at 50%, then we'll go to 60, and then 70% of the goal tempo 4 times through each one of those speeds. We're going to use this same approach all the way up to measure 9. This next riff is exactly the same as the first riff, but it ends with a different power chord. And all we're going to do is end on the 2nd fret of the E string and the 4th fret of the A string and strike those together. This time through, however, on the first 3 notes we're not going to use a palm mute, so lift that up, but for the rest of them use a palm mute until you hit the power chord and leave that open with no palm mute. This second riff is so similar to the first riff, I want to combine them now. So let's take them both 2 times through at 50% of the goal tempo, then 60, and then 70% of the goal tempo. Get ready. This next segment is exactly the same until we hit the end of beat 4, and the only change is going to be, instead of doing the 3rd fret and the 5th fret of the 6th string, we're going to shift down to the 2nd fret of the D string and the 3rd fret of the D string, and then moving forward we're just going to continue in a 3-note group instead of hitting a power chord right here like we have in the previous segment. So follow me on this here. That's all the same, right? Then we'll shift over here to the 2nd fret of the D string and move forward like that, ascending 2, 3, 4, and that'll start the next segment and the next measure, which is kind of combined in this riff. So let's continue to the A string at 3, 4, 5, and reverse that, 5, 4, 3, then shift down a fret and descend, 4, 3, 2, then ascend to 5, ascending there just like we did before at the beginning of the song, and to the same thing to the E string now, descend, and here we're going to go 3 to the open string instead of the 5th fret. Alright, let me walk you through that whole thing slowly again. Here's the change. Just like the beginning now. To the open E there. Now it's time to have a play along with this section just like we did in the previous section. We'll take it through 2 times each at 50% of the goal tempo, then 60, then 70% of the goal tempo. Get ready. For measures 9 and 10 now, the riff is completely changed. Let's practice first alternate picking on the 6th string with palm muting. For this section, I recommend you put your amp to a high gain setting. We're going to be doing alternate picking on the 6th string with palm muting. And on my left hand here, you'll notice I'm going to keep these other strings quiet that I'm not currently playing, which is the 5th string down. So I'm just lightly touching those to keep them quiet while I pick the 6th string. Now let's take a look at measure 9. We're going to start it off on the A string at the 5th fret, and we're going to hammer onto the 7th fret before doing the palm muting on the E string that we just worked on 3 times in this case, down, up, down. Then you'll rest. That's an important part of this. You've got that 16th note rest there. You want to kill the strings. I generally will do that with both hands, or at least the right hand. And next we're going to go to the A string and pick the 10th fret with our pinky and pull off to the 7th fret before doing 8 more palm mutes on the 6th string. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. I like to keep track of that by counting 3E and 4E and Measure 10 is almost identical to measure 9, except for at the end of beat 2 you'll still hammer on 5 to 7 instead of going from 10 to 7. And then on the last beat we're going to do a power chord to another power chord. So minor changes here. Take a look at this. Rest, 5, 7 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, then the power chord, 5th fret and 7th fret to the 6th fret and 8th fret. Slowly one more time. All right, both measures now slowly. It's time for a play along of these two measures now at 50% of the goal tempo, 60, and then 70% of the goal tempo. Get ready. Measures 11 and 12 are an exact repeat of the riff you just learned in measures 9 and 10, except for the very last beat of measure 12. And this is where the Dave Mustaine spider chord comes in. We're going to be playing the 8th fret of the A string and the 10th fret of the D string. Notice I'm using my middle finger and pinky. That's the first power chord right there. We're going to strike that with the 5th string and 4th string. Just those two strings. And then the spider moves comes when I change to these two fingers here. We'll be at the 7th fret of the E string and the 9th fret of the A string. And then I'll just pick the 6th string and 5th string now. Okay, slowly again. Middle finger and pinky to index and ring. Measures 13 and 14 are identical to what you just learned, except for we're going to change the spider chord at the end. So let's go to the A string for this first chord at the 2nd fret, and we'll go to the D string on the 4th fret. Notice I'm using the index finger and ring finger this time. Just strike those two strings that we're holding. And then the next chord is going to start on the 3rd fret of the 6th string here, the E string, and the pinky will be on the 5th fret of the A string. And just pick those low strings here. Let's have a play along now of this entire section, measures 9 through 14. At 50% of the goal tempo, I'm only going to take it through once each, 60% and then 70% again, only one time through. The last thing we're going to do here is a 4-measure sequence that kind of ends this section and then starts all over again before the vocals come in. Let's take a look. In measure 15, you're going to see some similarities to measure 12, which you already learned, except for the ending is slightly different. Take a look at this here. We're still going to do the 5th fret to 7th fret hammer-on with 3 palm mutes and a rest, then to the 10th fret of the A string pull off to 7, then 4 and plus 2 palm mutes in this case. We've done 8 before. This is a little different now, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then to a power chord, which is the 7th fret of the 6th string and the 9th fret of the 5th string. And just pick those low strings there. Now that power chord holds over to the next measure in 16, so we'll start on the end of beat 1 with 4 palm mutes, down up on the E string, to a new power chord at the 6th fret of the 6th string and the 8th fret of the 5th string. Just strike those 2 strings, then 2 more palm mutes, down up, shift your chord over to the 5th fret and 7th fret, then 1 more palm mute. There's a simple pattern to the power chords in this section. If you didn't notice this, check this out. When we start that one on the 7th fret and 9th fret, we're going to strike that and simply move down the 5th and 6th string for each of the other ones. So slowly it's like this. So for me, that makes it easier to visualize when I'm including the palm mutes between that chord sequence. Let's cover measures 17 and 18 before we move on to the play along. This is a simple ending using power chords you've already learned. The B5 power chord again here at the 2nd fret of the A string and 4th fret of the D string. We're going to do an open palm mute on the 6th string, then back to that B5 power chord and rest. Then we'll hit that B5 one more time before doing the spider chord change to the G5 power chord, 3rd fret of the E string, 5th fret of the A string, with the middle finger and pinky finger if you recall. And then I'm going to shift to the spider chord again here now at the 2nd fret of the E string and 4th fret of the A string. Let's have a play along for this section now, measures 15 through 18 at 50% of the goal tempo, then 60, then 70% of the goal tempo. Let's take it through one time each. Alright, here's what you've been waiting for, a full playthrough of the first 18 measures at 70% of the goal tempo. Watch close though, because this is where it all comes together. Let's go. We've covered the key techniques, including Mustaine's spider chord, to nail the first 18 measures of Holy Wars. Keep practicing, stay locked in, and have a blast bringing this thrash classic to life. If you want a part 2 to dive deeper, let me know in the comments below. Drop a comment and let me know how you're getting along on this thing also. And if you have any questions, hit me up. Check out my other guitar lessons for more riffs to crush. Smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in one of these videos next.
Silent screams in heaven, rising